Joining us now, though, are former State Senator Roz Dance, Democrat, and House of Delegates former member Chris Peace from New Kent. Chris is a Republican. Roz is a Democrat. Both got defeated last year in primaries. I hate to remind you of that, Roz and Chris, but I have to say it so people put it together, so sorry. Don't want to bring out the wounds. Co-chairs, they are, of the Virginia Consumer Healthcare Alliance, which is a citizen group that works very hard to give people a voice in improving health care in the Commonwealth. Good morning to you both. Welcome back to the John Fredericks Show. I'm only on for an hour today. I came on just for you last day of the General Assembly session. Aren't you fired up?
Of course we are, John. Good morning.
Roz is always fired up. What about Chris? Is he on the line?
I am, John. It's good to hear your voice. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's always good to have you both. Hey, Chris, I just want you to know, sidebar before we get into this, I've already ordered my number of suites for Colonial Downs, opening July
Excellent.
25th. Every Friday night, the Fräulein and I are there. We have a suite there. And I went on a payment plan, so you just pay it every month. So it sounds like part of my regular stuff that I do, but I can't wait. July 25th, 18 racing days, so much fun. Plus, I get to do my show there. I'm going to do it there every Friday and some Saturdays. We're going to have a lot of fun, man, a lot of fun. Okay, now, as our audience knows, Chris and Roz, we like to go right to the heart of the information. We go to the source. That's why I've been in South Carolina, New Hampshire, Iowa. You go right to the people. That's why we've got you with us today. During the General Assembly session, you guys have joined us about 3 times to discuss the work of the Virginia Consumer Healthcare Alliance, protecting patients from surprise medical billing, of which I have been all over for a year since I got one. Roz, you know, it's amazing what happens. When something happens to you personally, it's a little bit of a different experience than when you read about it, when you actually get the thing in the mail. Now, this has been a multi-year effort in the General Assembly. It's also got federal enabling legislation now that's sitting in the committee. As we approach the final days of the session, both of you have some real positive news to report on doing something about this disaster called surprise billing. What's the latest?
Thanks for asking, John. In the past few days, a compromise has been reached to protect patients from surprise medical bills. We're excited. And this compromise will protect patients who receive emergency medical care from out-of-network providers and some non-emergency services for our in-network facilities. It's taken a lot of work to get to this point, but this is truly, truly an encouraging development. And it shows the power that Virginia voters have to make their voices heard by letting legislators know they wanted this issue fixed. The Consumer Health Care Alliance, we encourage people to get involved in the process to make their feelings known by calling and emailing their legislators. That's like our main focus for getting the word out, and it's working.
Roz, tell me a little bit about the bipartisan nature of this. I mean, this has been a tough General Assembly if you're a partisan, right? I mean,
yes.
There's no really working coalition in the House. Caucus of the Corn, very progressive, very left-wing. They can't really get together with Republicans on a lot of things. It looks like the redistricting vote is going to come today. That's bipartisan. Tell me, Roz, before I get to Chris, about the bipartisan nature of what you guys were able to do with surprise billing.
Well, the bipartisanness of it is that we're looking at Virginians first, and it crosses both lines. And for me, as a former nurse healthcare administrator and the former chair of the Joint Healthcare Commission, we got to address what are the primary issues and most important issues for people. And from this, like as the years have passed, it has been a bipartisan. Both sides have found that common ground, but we haven't been able to get to the end game. No matter what's going on in the General Assembly, health care is important to both sides. It's just how we approach it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so pleased that this year, it seems no matter what's going on, what things we might not agree on, we are agreeing on quality health care for all Virginians and For us, we're excited because this piece that we have been working on, our coalition, dealing with surprise medical bills, protecting patients, is moving.
All right, so let me get to Chris P. So, Chris, explain what is exactly happening here. Put it in layman's terms, what it means for a consumer that has been caught in the surprise billing trap. Is this independent dispute resolution? How does this work? Now, tell us if Governor Northam signs to this, which we expect, hopefully he will, what's going to be the difference?
Well, John, let me pick up on your bipartisan inquiry there of Senator Dance, because this has been a team effort. And, I guess the only person I can think of that ever lay on an operating table and asked their doctor whether a Republican or Democrat was Ronald Reagan. These issues should be bipartisan. What we found is, and with the bill, the substitute that was adopted in the House yesterday on Senator Favola's bill, it was 99-0. And so I think over the years, a lot of hard work has been put in by consumer advocates and doctors and hospitals, patients, but also you, John. I mean, we want to thank you for all the attention that you put to this issue. It took time to get big insurance companies on board, as you might expect, but I think we're in a good place now as we are making our way to the governor's desk. You're a baseball fan, John. I know you'll appreciate it. There's one aspect of the legislation that sets up an arbitration process, sort of baseball style, when billing disputes arise between insurance companies and providers. Mm-hmm. So there's a mechanism that means, and one of the reasons why we called it pro-patient legislation is we want to get the patient out of the middle.
Right.
And so this will do that. So patients will be shielded from that process. They pay their copay or deductible, and they're done. That's the way it should be. And anything else has to be hashed out between the insurer and the provider. And I can go into greater detail if you'd like about that.
Well, look, I've been a proponent of that because obviously as a patient, you don't want to be involved in it. I don't want to have to pick up the phone and be negotiating with people when I thought I already paid my insurance. So basically, this mirrors what is typically referred to in Washington as IDR, right? Independent dispute resolution, which is between the provider and the insurance company. And look, at the end of the day, everybody knows the insurance companies. They didn't like come to you and say, "Hey, wow, thanks for having it so we can't make as much money and screw patients," right? I mean, you got this done because of legislative prowess, but the patients don't want to be involved in that, and what they don't want to get is a surprise bill. It sounds like, Chris and Roz, you've solved that.
It sounds
and that's the plan. Absolutely. Roz, you take it.
Thanks, Chris. But, John, you're right on it. It's really not we solved it. The people have solved it because for this one, both sides know that they have to work together, and that is the healthcare providers and the insurance companies, because when we're in agreement, it's like when parents are not fighting and they're together, they're joined, and they're making adult decisions, then it says that children cannot have their way. Mm-hmm. And in this way, what they're doing is taking the patient out of the center and building a wall that separates them from the parenting groups, and that is the healthcare providers and insurance companies, to work it out in a fair manner. Mm-hmm. So we call it both sides have a 50% chance of presenting the information and making the best choices for Virginians, and it takes the patients, out of the way, and the patients get to do what they're expected to do: pay your premiums, pay your deductions, expect to get quality health care, and not afterwards wonder what happened. How did I get this bill? So it's because both sides are working that there is a need. If you don't have to, then you don't. In this case, insurance companies have no choice but to work with this piece of legislation and come up with the best choice for both sides. And whether they like it or not, they know that the parents are looking out for the children, and for us, the children are the people of the Commonwealth, and we're a part of this, because I know that I've found myself with the surprise billing as well. So I am pleased with where we are, and we're almost there. The bell is almost rung as far as the end of this session, but I think that the people have shown across Virginia that they are listening, that they're engaged, and the legislators are responding appropriately. Can't ask for a better scenario than that, John.
Well, you've got the model for federal legislation, which we've been covering also quite in depth, and that's going nowhere. I mean, it's just stuck in committee. They can't get it out. Hopefully, this will kickstart it. But look, Roz and Chris, 99-0. I mean, in this General Assembly, in this environment, 99-0. I mean, that's like the impossible dream of all time. I mean, this is really a bipartisan issue, and I got to tell you, it doesn't matter if you're a Trump Republican like me, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, Joe Biden. That doesn't matter. Anyone who gets stuck with one of these bills knows how frustrating it can be to get the insurance company to do anything about it, because they send this bill. They have all the power, and I've told our audience before, and I got a lot of people with me on this. They have a lot of power, and then what they do is they immediately go to a lawyer, they get a judgment, and then it's over. Then you have no, as soon as that judgment is signed, you have no defense to get out of the judgment or to defend yourself. Judge signs it. As soon as that judgment happens, you get garnished. They freeze your bank account. All that happens when you get a judgment off of a surprise bill that you had nothing to do with. Not like you spent money and said, the heck with it. You had nothing to do with it. So sounds what you did is really comprehensive. Chris, you bring up baseball. Baseball season starts in a couple weeks, as you know. I'm an Astros fan. Just by the way, they played perfect baseball, Chris. Perfect World Series. Everything was perfect. Perfect, Chris. Perfect.
Well, John, know what, you have to give yourself credit for where we are right now, because you have allowed your station to be a voice with this issue, and you were there and you supported bipartisan coverage of the Medicaid expansion, and that's one of those things that a lot of people couldn't grasp, but they're seeing the results of it now. But you were there, and you've allowed us to have a voice to speak out, because with knowledge comes a change in attitude, and just the information informing people that didn't even know that they were impacted by the surprise billing, because they may not have had a direct situation. But from that information, we know that Chris and I, that we've had statewide telephone town hall, and thousands of Virginians were concerned about this issue, and we gave them the avenues of how they could reach out to their legislators. And they did. It's obvious that they have done this, and it shows the power of people expressing their strong beliefs can make a change, and that's what we're seeing right now. And so it's everybody working together on the same accord that I think has gotten us to where we are right now. So pat yourself on the back, John.
Well, I tell you, that's news you're making right there. Roz Dance showing Godzilla the love, Roz, after all we've been through. Maybe I should dial in that guy Wyatt. What's his name? Scott Wyatt, and get him on and get all one big kumbaya.
Yeah, well, he was able to see the light, John, on this issue.
Well, you know what? Even what's the thing? Even a broken clock is right once a day. We're with Roz Dance and Chris Peace, co-chairs of the Virginia Consumer Healthcare Alliance, and what you guys did is amazing. I never thought you could get this done. Now, we're one day away from the end of the legislative session. You guys are on today. Did this come down to the wire, or did you have it? Just explain that end.
Yeah, John, this is Chris. I mean, it definitely came down to the wire. This has been a multi-year effort, and so you can't take anything for granted. We had a bill in conference, how that goes. Things can fall apart or come together in conference. We have today and tomorrow the scheduled adjournment, so it was right up against the wire. And I just say that even though the bills are moving forward, Delegate Torian's bill and Senator Favola's bill, we still would want to encourage Virginians who support this pro-patient legislation to contact the governor's office. Encourage him to take action swiftly, sign the bill, move it forward. Remember the Schoolhouse Rock. The bill becomes a law, go through House and Senate, but we still need the governor's office to take action. And then after that, there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, Roz mentioned, John, your support of Medicaid expansion. We all work to create greater accessibility to health care. This issue works on affordability-related issues, but we still have to work on health insurance premiums and rising out-of-pocket deductible costs that impact families and businesses in Virginia. So Roz and I and the Alliance are going to continue to do work, hosting the town halls that she mentioned, and engaging public in other ways to get their stories and continue to transform healthcare in Virginia. And that's what we're all about. We're about saving lives. We're about protecting the pocketbook, helping families and Virginians all across the Commonwealth.
Well, supporting Medicaid expansion was the absolute right decision we all made, and I know there was a price to pay for that. Chris, you're talking with me on the phone as a co-chair of VHCA now instead of as a House member over that issue. You showed a lot of courage in standing behind that. So did I. I mean, I lost listeners, got hate mail and all that stuff, but sometimes it's tough. You just got to do the right thing, and things work out. And it's just like, it's just like on a completely unrelated topic, just throw my 2 cents in. I don't like a lot of what Eileen does and Caucus of the Corn, obviously, but I'm totally in favor of the transportation tax they did. I mean, you got to fix these roads, man. You can't. The money just doesn't fall from heaven. You have got to fix these roads. And if you look at the improvements in 64 and 95, all the way from Virginia Beach to Washington, D.C., because of the 2013 transportation bill that we have. I mean, it's taken an hour and a half off my drive there, an hour and a half from Virginia Beach to D.C. every week, and it's still only about 65% complete. When it's done, it's going to be 2 hours. I mean, that's huge. But you got to be able to pay for it. Okay, so what else are we going to see from the peace dance teamwork here? I mean, this is a pretty good, 1-2 right out of the bat. What happens next?
Well, John, as Chris has said, this is not the end of us. We will be still listening to the people because the Virginia Consumer Healthcare Alliance is a citizen and consumer movement. So we are the bosses of the legislators, and Chris and I, as former legislators, understand the impact of hearing from the people who put us there. Mm-hmm. And just like this piece of legislation, once the information was given, then our bosses, and we the bosses in this case, said enough is enough, and we see good things happening. So we're going to continue to use our voices as the co-chairs of the Virginia Consumer Healthcare to speak out on behalf of us, the people. And we're going to still see us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're going to still be there on giving regular updates and fact-based information. And hopefully you'll invite us back when we have some great issues that we've decided as the priority issues that we've heard from the people of Virginia that we need to work on as top priorities for the coming sessions. And any opportunities to get that out, we'll be doing town halls as we've done tele-town halls and all the various ways that we can reach them. But
well, look, you guys have gotten the people involved. That's how you made this work. And now it's like the Roz, Chris, you're kind of like the dynamic duo here. So what I'm going to do is I've got to get action figures. We have to get action figures for Roz and Chris. And I'm going to bobbleheads and action figures. I mean, you got to have an action figure if you're going to be the dynamic duo. Okay. Right? I got to figure this out. I'll get somebody working on that. But look, you guys have got the people involved. If people have stories to share and you want their voices heard, where do they go?
Oh, again, they can reach VirginiaConsumerHealthcare.org. That is VirginiaConsumerHealthcare.org and /John if they like to join the cause and become advocates with us as far as healthcare system priorities for the people of Virginia. We love to have them join us. VirginiaConsumerHealthcare.org and /John if you'd like to join us.
Virginia Healthcare. Say that again,
VirginiaConsumerHealthcare.org. VirginiaConsumerHealthcare.org and /John if you'd like to join us.
Okay. VirginiaConsumerHealthcare.org /join and let your voice be heard. And also, you can text me if you want an action figure. I'm going to put Peace's action figure. I'm going to put it right in front of, what's his name, Scott Wyatt's door just to piss him off. I want to thank my guest, Roz Dance. I'm going to put his action figure like in front of his door.
Well, take it to Colonial Downs, John.
It might bring me luck, right? I can put your action figure there, the Chris Peace action figure at Colonial Downs, right in my suite. I want to thank to my guests Roz Nance and Chris Peace. They're former members of the Virginia General Assembly. They just had a big win with surprise billing, getting that done. 99-0 in the House, the impossible dream. Co-chairs of the Virginia Healthcare Alliance for joining us today. I want to thank them. Visit their website at Virginia, now that I have it straight, virginiaconsumerhealthcare.org/join to get involved. virginiaconsumerhealthcare.org. And as baseball season is starting, Chris, I'm just going to end with this, with the Astros again. Like Trump's phone call. Perfect baseball. Chris and Roz, have a great weekend. 99-0. Action figure time.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Guess who's coming up? Another friend of the family, Joe Morrissey. After Roz Dance showed me all this love. I can't believe it. We'll be right back.